grab our music. Beep. Alright, so today we are going to be... I believe we're working on the tree farm right now, and specifically we're also going to be trying to shave down the part where I left it slightly raised. But it should be fine. Because it's not an entire, fucking mountain range, we should be okay. Knock on wood. But, by the way, I'd like to point out that I've taken to, because I don't want it to be too, loud when I do that, I have taken to, knocking on my own head, because fun fact, that phrase, knock on wood, there is another variant of it that says knock on the head of an idiot, and so I do it because of that, because I think it's funny, and it's quieter, also, I saw something that drove me crazy this morning, and I blocked this person because I don't feel like it's conducive arguing with people like this, but it was somebody who... So the way I'm going to phrase it is... I'm not going to see the live-action How to Train Your Dragon because I believe it's a soulless cash grab, and I would like to just watch it at home so that me and my spouse can rip it to shreds, but also get to listen to the music in context, because I will say, I cried watching the trailer, not because of anything, but because of the music. The music sounds incredible, and that's the most important part to me at this point. This person's not going to see it because of who's playing Astrid. The way they phrased it is, quote, if she's not a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Viking, then I don't want it. And I'm like, one, you forgot that wigs in context exist, and that's okay. Two, Viking is not a race, it's a job! There were black Vikings, babe. Please. For the love of the fucking gods. Learn about Vikings before you argue about them. Please! Like... Oh my god. Also, nobody's, arguing about fish slugs because I don't think that anybody has realized that he's Maori. But it's fine. It's whatever. But yeah, again, I'm not going to see it because it's a soulless cash grab. They're not going And I could call them much less kind things, but this is a, semi-more family-friendly oriented version of me. Anyway. Alright, that is fine. That is fine and dandy. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, okay, yeah. Do I have a clear inventory? I might. Yes, I do. Good. Beautiful. Okay, good. It did not land in the thing. That's wonderful. Alrighty. I'm gonna try to go through and pick up the ones that have the trunks that I'm after here. If I can... Also, I'm gonna have to sort out a bunch of these, the flower ones, because there are too many of them. And I already have a plan for how I want to sort them, I just need to put it into action. But hey, it's fine. Alright? Okay. Let's see. Because that's the biggest, difficulty that we're gonna run into, is how I want to sort these. Oh, shit. Hang on. There we are. Good lad. Okay. Yeah, once we start getting up to the steps, that's where I've already pulled everything down, so I don't have to worry about it. This will be eventually part of how this is sorted. I just need to grab them. Alrighty. Very, very good. Okay. Also, I do think it was kind of funny that this person was clearly taunting Tiana's actress, but at the same time, I'm like, where's that energy for Hiccup's wig? Hiccup's wig is fucking terrible. Anyway. And like I said, I blocked this person because I don't believe it. Because she also then tried to pull the tired old, well, what if Tiana was white argument? And despite people being like, well, obviously, you know, she was based on Leah Chase, and she's like, well, I know that, but it would be the same if she was a poor white girl. And I'm like, looking at the scene where the bank contractor said something to the effect of, with the woman of your, and they look her up and down, it's a background, and try to insinuate that, you know, that is anything but, you know, motivated by the fact that she is black and not by the fact that she is, in their words, poor. Because people like that just don't, they don't care, right? Like, that's the problem, is you can't argue with a person who all they want to do, they will find a way to make themselves win their own argument, regardless of if they actually, like, want to hear. Because, like, I'm fine arguing with people who actually want to have answers to the questions they're asking. I am so fine with that. But when you then turn around and just, all that you want to do is win, that's when the problem starts. Because then it's not, then you're just, it's just arguing to a brick wall. There's no debate, there's no back and forth, there's no, like, actual, I don't know if progress is the word I'm looking for, but that's the only word coming to mind. Growth, maybe? But, regardless, and that's something that I think is a problem, like, is people are so driven to, in their mind, win an argument, that I'm like, the point of an argument is an exchange of ideas, and yes, obviously everybody wants to win an argument, but you have to be willing to lose when, you know, your point is not well put together. You feel me? And again, maybe this is because of that extreme non-competitive streak in me, but I don't know, y'all. It's a little infuriating. Especially when somebody keeps moving that goalpost, because people were explaining to this person why the story for Tiana specifically does not work. And then she's like, well, it's based on XYZ, and or a German fairy tale. And I'm like, yes. The whole point of, like, what if Tiana was white, it works because, or not works, but, most of the time it's not the gotcha people think it is, because the whole point is that she was not black in the original story. And so, if anything, Tiana is showing why it doesn't fucking matter originally, but Tiana's specific story does. And again, they know that. That's the problem, is they know it and are just using it as a gotcha, right? But it is what it is, you know? Because for those who are unaware, I'm going to give several people the benefit of the doubt. If you didn't know, specifically Disney's Tiana, not the Frog Princess in general, just specifically Disney's Tiana, is based off of a woman named Leah Chase. She's still alive, and she still has her restaurant, but she was specifically based on Leah Chase. Which, by the way, Leah Chase is hilarious. If you ever want to, like, feel like you're sitting there watching, you know, or being chastised by a woman who is clearly, like, hyper intelligent but also very funny, I highly recommend watching her interacting with, I believe the one that I'm thinking of was she was interacting with Obama, and I can't remember if he, like, picked up something to modify the dish that she had given him, but she said, "You taste that first," and she, like, bapped his hand. But it was very, very funny. Because it was clearly in a, you know, I don't care how you actually eat your food, just, you know, do the common courtesy of tasting it before you do anything to modify it. It was very sweet and cute. But, I also have a soft spot in my heart for, like, the kind of, like, grandmotherly figures who are, like, clearly, like, hyper intelligent and, like, you know, you think at first that they're, like, chastising you, but then you realize they're teasing you in a playful way, and I just think that that's very sweet. because I have a grandmother-in-law who is very much like that, so I very much have a soft spot for grandmas like that. Alright, lovely. And by the way, her being based on Leah Chase, that is not hidden knowledge. They actually, when they re-themed Splash Mountain, they actually started selling Leah Chase's cookbooks and memoirs in the gift shop next to Tiana's version of Splash Mountain. Is it called the Bayou Adventure? Is that the new name of the ride? I haven't been since they redid it. I think it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But yeah, this is not hidden knowledge. This is very, very well known. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. Oh, there we are. Okay, we're almost there, especially because I'm already sorting as we're going. So, you know, it's fine. It's fine and dandy. Alright, very good. We could just do this. Actually, it's faster to do this. Oh, shit. Forgot how to do it. Hang on. There we go. Good. Yeah. Alrighty. And I can't remember if I'll have enough room to fit all of them in the thing. All of the, saplings, I mean. I think I might, but probably also don't. Alright. Good. Beep bop, beep bop, beep bop. And I'll probably bring them out and plant them in phases like this. But I haven't decided that yet. And again, the most important thing to me is how the trunk looks, not how the leaves look. If you've ever wondered, for those who are new here, what my sorting method is, it's by trunk, not by leaves. Alright. Or at least, rather, it's trunk first, leaf second. Okay. Alright. This is the part that's going to be a pain in the ass. Because I need to decide what I'm keeping here. Because there's a lot of these that I'm definitely not keeping. Specifically, the ones that, oh good lord, are likely just the normal flowers. Or, that they aren't flowers at all, I should say. Oh, Lord alive. Okay. Like, these ones specifically, I am definitely not keeping. Because I can't even tell them apart in the inventory. So, there's no point to me keeping them. All of them give plant fiber anyway, which was the original reason I was specifically keeping those. Alright, let's scoot these up real fast. Beep bop, 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 beep. Okay, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. But now we have to do it like this, just because it's going to be a pain in my ass if I don't. Well, these ones give, petals, but... Again... they have more of a place in my tree farm than just the generic, other ones that I was trying to decide if I was keeping them or not. Alright, let's see. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Oh, hello there. I'm gonna trade those. Oh, never mind. I thought I was gonna trade them with the other trees, but I am not. Because as it would seem, they are actually already organized. I will trade them with these. Alright, lovely. Oh, we got one more at least. There we are. Lovely. Lovely, beautiful. Okay, I think that's all we have of those. That should be it. Yep, okay. I'm gonna beam up and beam back down for this one just because we're all the way at the end, so it's easier to do it this way, then the other way. Rehydrate. Alright, lovely. Okay, alright. And also, one more thing that always drives me crazy in the whole, but it's realistic if to have XYZ casting, is they never choose to do it with movies where it actually might make a difference or not. They always choose movies with an element so fantastical that it's like realism is completely thrown out the window. One, the outfits are completely incorrect and anachronistic in the original How to Train Your Dragon anyway. Two, because they're fictional. But two, there are fucking dragons. Because the same thing was happening with Little Mermaid, and I'm like, she is a goddamn mermaid. Who gives a shit? If you look at the original translations, like, you could make the argument that she wasn't even naturally toned to begin with, because there is a debate on whether or not the art or the translation is that she had skin the color of the petal of a rose or the leaf of a rose. So, is she green or potentially red? You know? And I mean, as in the color of a rose. Let's not, like, misconstrue what I'm saying here. Like, it's always those situations where it's literally characters that... I don't know, man. I don't know. It's always baffling to me, the hills that some people choose to die on. And again, the thing that's always weird to me is I'm like, okay, then don't go see it. Don't go do this. But you can't sit out here acting like your, like, rights are being infringed upon because they changed a random character. Especially, and we all know what I mean by that. We know that I am not talking about actual characters that are recast, because they never have an issue with, like, Ghost in the Shell, and stuff like that. I believe also Alita Battle Angel, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, where they cast white women to play Asian characters. Again, they only have a problem when it's the reverse, and I'm like, can you, like, pick a lane, you know? But whatever, it's fine, I don't care. Again, these people never actually want, like, from a position of actual progress. They are always thinly hiding the fact that they're just mad that someone that they don't like because of the color of their skin has been cast in a role where their skin color does not matter. Anyway, it's fine. Very, very good. Again, I'm trying to decide how I want to sort these particular ones. Do I have any others with a trunk that looks kind of... Yeah, we could sort these guys with that. That'll do, that'll do. Because they both have, like, horizontal, thin striping on their trunks. So I think we'll do that. And then... I'm trying to remember the one that I have stuck in the... I mean, we could always, mess with it later. Like, reorganize things, you feel me? Okay, that's fine. And then, again, I'm gonna sort a bunch of the ones that have the... Oh, shit, I missed one. Zutalo. I missed one. Anyway. We'll put this one over here, that one over there. That should do. Not necessarily all the ones that have horizontal striping, but horizontal striping in a very particular way. We'll sort with these ones. Because, like, obviously a lot of them have horizontal striping, but I have a very, very specific thing that I am thinking of. Alright, that's fine. So I guess we can sort these guys under that same clause as well. Yeah, like I said, there's a reason that this takes all day. Especially because this time we're going to be messing around with the terrain. So it's going to have even an extra layer of... This is going to take a minute, you know? Oh, did I miss any? Yes, I did. Okay, cool. That is fine. That is fine. But yeah, to give actual good faith critiques of that trailer, by the way, one of the things I will say, I don't know who the fuck did Hiccup's wig. Please, for the love of God, get that boy a new wig. That looks really bad. I also believe that one of the biggest problems is they're leading into the later designs of Toothless, and one of the reasons that I think How to Train Your Dragon works so well is in the first movie, like, it never... Good morning. It never looked like Toothless was as cartoonish as he is in the later, especially the third movie. And unfortunately, they're leaning more into his third movie's design for the live action, and I feel like it's going to lose some of that inherent beauty and charm of the first movie, because in the first movie, he very much looked like... And again, I will say this, if people want to go watch it and like it, that is so fine. I am so here for people watching it. I'm going to watch it at home so I can rip it to shreds in terms of things, but I also want to hear the music in its original context, because the music made me cry. But the one thing I will say is I'm glad they gave Toothless's texture back, because that was something in the later two movies of the animated ones that I really could not stand, was how much they just, like, made Toothless look too soft and too gentle, because part of the beauty of How to Train Your Dragon is that Toothless is absolutely, without question, a wild creature, right? And I feel like some of that has been lost in the later two movies, and also, sadly, it looks like the live action, because the problem with the live action is they're keeping his, like, kind of more, rounded eyes than the, like, gecko/cat eyes that they had when we first met him, because the whole point in that original sequence between Toothless and Hiccup is that we don't know if we can trust Toothless. And we don't know if this is genuinely going to be a potential risk to Hiccup's life, right? Oh shit, sorry, I forgot to pull these out. Hang on. But yeah, I really hate that so much of the criticism of this movie so far has just been, oh, they cast a girl who's not even, like, she's a quarter black. She's not even, like, you know? And one, it also should not fucking matter. Because, again, the whole, like... But she's not a real Viking. No, none of them are real Vikings. Viking is a job. Viking is not a race. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, there are far more things that are problems with this trailer, or, even the idea of a live action than, you know, what Astrid looks like. But back to my other things, I also feel like a big problem is because they made Toothless's eyes such a rich green, the contrast feels really off. So I feel like it makes him look like he's missing some of his, like, I don't know if line art is the way I would phrase it, but that's the only way that's coming to mind. But it feels like in some scenes that he's just kind of, it looks like mush, because there's not enough contrast between him and his eyes to make it so that you don't have to have functionally eyeliner on the dragon to make his eyes look like they're not melting into his skin. But yeah, and I will say it does look significantly better than I thought it would. Significantly better. But I feel like there's something missing from the costumes, even if the costumes are like a literal translation. Because they're live action now, you're missing some of the stuff that you could get away with in 2D, or not 2D, 3D animation in order for things to look like they're not unfinished. But, again, unfortunately, it's gone from people having, like, good criticisms about design and just turned into, oh, well, she's not white. And I'm like, I thought we were going to have a valid critical discussion, not just a, wah, she doesn't look like me. And again, for some reason, no one has an issue with fish legs, probably because none of them realize he's Maori. Anyway, it's fine. But yeah, the one thing I will say, god damn, the music team is on point. As they should be, they have to be, with How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon is not something that you could just... You either have to match the original music or surpass. You cannot just half-ass How to Train Your Dragon's music. It is not a thing you can do. And I will say, as far as people being like, I don't know why they picked this for their first movie to do live action. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. Because of the nature of a lot of DreamWorks projects, I feel like they got themselves into this kind of double-edged sword of... like, a lot of their projects genuinely probably don't work in live action. Because, like, hell, like, even things like Prince of Egypt and El Dorado and stuff, their style is so iconic to what they are that, because DreamWorks stylizes so heavily, I'm just like, I don't know if any of their projects would have been, like... a, quote, good idea to start with. So it kind of turns into this situation where I'm like, I think they were doomed from the start when they decided to do live action. But it's neither here nor there. Because I'm one of those people, I'm like, I understand that this is probably not going to be for me, so I'm not going to go see it in theaters and ruin other people's good time. I'm going to see it at home where I can rip it to pieces. It's kind of the same thing of, like, I always, like, make sure that, for example, like, with Heck Hotel, Has-Been Hotel, sorry, I always make sure that I do it in a place where the actual fans do not have to see it, and if they are choosing to engage with it, that's on them at that point. You feel me? So it kind of gets frustrating when I'm sitting here and I'm like, I am doing everything in my power to make sure that I am basically venting in a, quote, more or less safe space. Because I don't want to ruin people's good time. You feel me? Because I completely understand how upsetting and frustrating it can get when someone is ripping to shreds something that so deeply speaks to your soul. But then it just turns into, you just don't have anything nice to say, / you have no valid points, / you have whatever, and I'm like, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure people don't have to see my stupid ass. I just need to yell into the void or else I'll explode. Alright, very good. 1, 2, 3... And then I think a new Minecraft trailer got released, but that one I'm already like, okay, this is definitely a lost cause and definitely not for me. So I don't even know if I'm gonna even try to watch that when it comes out on streaming. but I've heard the new trailer is just that much worse. And in fairness, I've always thought a Minecraft movie was a mistake, especially now, where, like, because, like, I could have understood it, like, 5 years ago, maybe, and I think it could have worked better at that point, but I'm like, you missed your window. I don't think, because at this point now, everyone is nostalgic for it and has, like, extreme opinions, so I was like, if you wanted to have leeway, you have missed the boat. Because, like I said, everyone's nostalgic for the franchise, and a lot of people grew up on it, so everyone's gonna be hyper opinionated. And again, they are making, well, okay, actually, let me correct myself. I was gonna say it's a kids movie. It's clearly not being marketed as a kids movie, though. That's the other problem with it, is they're clearly trying to get kind of like that edgy, like, oh, it's a kids game, but we're saying hell and damn, ooh. So, like, I actually don't know who the movie is aimed at anymore. Because normally my argument is, well, it's a kids movie, and if I need to check my attitude as an adult watching a kids movie. Ooh, I found where things go. Hang on. I'll fix it in a second. But, because I was waiting to see if I could find the tree trunks that match that one that I accidentally picked up earlier. It's here. It goes with these. Alright, lovely. That's actually wonderful. I'm very happy about that. But yeah, I'm still not inherently sure who it's aimed at. The one thing I will say, the version of Magical Mystery Tour that they played in the initial trailer, I fucking love that. But I also believe that, like, mixing music for trailers, especially already established songs, is very much an art form. I'm gonna go grab the alien trees next. Just because they're easy to sort. Alright, lovely. But yeah, like, especially there was a time period where, well, you'll see why I'm giggling over me saying time period, but, where several, so, for those who don't know, good lord, that's loud, my favorite band ever is Pink Floyd. However, my favorite song is Country Roads by John Denver, and it's a very specific one that's from, like, I think it's one of the, oh, Brain Cell, come on, buddy. I think it's from one of the Greatest Hits albums, but it's a very particular one. As a matter of fact, that's what's very impressive about Fallout 76's version. They actually got me to like a version that is, A, not being sung by John Denver, and B, sounds very different from the ones that I like. But there was a period where several, at the very least 2 movies that were actively in theaters had variants of Pink Floyd songs as their the track they were playing in the background. I believe it was one of the Dune trailers had it, and I think it was Time that they were playing. It was either Time or Money, and then I can't remember what the other one was, but they had one of those 2. Because, let's be honest, it's almost always Time, Money, or Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Well, random parts of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Because Shine On You Crazy Diamond is technically 10 separate songs that they then mix down into 2. Which is why if you look at the tracks on, or I think it's 10. It might be 8. But if you look at the tracks on Spotify, it'll say Shine On You Crazy Diamond 1 through 5 or something like that. But it's fine. But yeah, I find people who mix music for trailers specifically very fascinating. Especially when they then have to, like, they clearly played it with a certain song in mind, and then they couldn't get the rights to that song or whatever. For example, I have never seen because I didn't go looking, but there is a variant of, this is gonna, like, once again remind people that one of my big fandoms is just Rooster Teeth projects in general. But Laser Team had a variant of its trailer that was set to Thunderstruck, and they could not get the rights to it, but they said that it was very much designed with Thunderstruck in mind. And if you watch it, you can totally immediately pick up, you're like, oh yeah, 100%. Alright, let me make sure that there are no other trees over here. I don't think there are. Okay, there are not. Okay. Peeling this mountain is gonna be such a pain in my ass, but it's fine. I already did it once, and it's the bulk of the work is done now, so... Alright, let me go sort out these trees. And then I will go fix that. And I am gonna bring a stack of dry sand or dirt or whatever with me to work with. Okay, hang on. Okay, the most important part is that they are sorted within their own category, not necessarily that they are sorted in general, so I'm okay with some of them being out of sorts. Hang on, let's switch these. Nope, actually, let's not switch those. We're gonna switch these. Okay, and then that. Okay, that should be better. That should be better. Very, very good. And then my next favorite band after Pink Floyd is Daft Punk, but I think that one's pretty obvious. And I mean, anyone who, like, reads anything that I write probably has realized how much I like Pink Floyd, because, like, I think it's, like, a third of what I've written either has nods to Pink Floyd in the actual body of the text, or has a title inspired by a random thing from Pink Floyd. Like, I literally just wrote something called Cold Comfort for Change. But yeah, and you can blame the spouse for that, because I was not okay, I shouldn't say not allowed, but my mom was one of those people that just played, like, Christian music, like Christian rock, in the car. Oh, god damn it, we are literally one short, so I'm actually gonna keep that single one on me, and then I'm gonna bring a stack of this with me, and I am gonna put away, hang on, all of these. Or at least most of them. Okay. Now we have to go peel the mountain. Alright. Oh, well, I guess we have rice now. Alrighty. Very, very good. Very, very good. But yeah, part of the reason that Pink Floyd is such... or is so heavily represented in the stuff that I write is because they're one of the main sources of music that I write. Unless something is being themed after an extremely specific song, I have a playlist called Writer's Home, and it's only Pink Floyd music. Because normally unless it's a song that I'm very specifically writing to that song, I really struggle to write when there's lyrical music in the background. For, like, various reasons, but, it just is a thing, you know? Especially when I was younger, I really, really couldn't stand it. So the two bands... The one I used to write exclusively to was Daft Punk. And then my spouse introduced me to Pink Floyd because, she basically was like, you can't be in this family if you haven't heard specifically The Wall. And I immediately fell in love with it. Because I was just like, yep, nope, this fucking rules. Alright, lovely, beautiful. Alright, we're just gonna kinda go through here and get a good grip on how much work we're gonna have to wind up doing. Alright, lovely. And I will go ahead and peel all that, wood out of there because I think it looks horrendous. So it needs to be fixed. Because originally that was just me being like, I am desperate to get this done. I don't care at this point. I'm just gonna do this and fix it later, and now it's later. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. Very, very good. But yeah, by the way, I also, one of the other things about the original Minecraft trailer that I think is really funny about them specifically picking Magical Mystery Tour is, like, I don't quite understand the decision-making process. Like I said, I love it, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't quite get how this gels, other than, you know, it just being, ooh, this place is cool. Because, one, it's been a while since I've listened to the full version of Magical Mystery Tour, but, it just kind of also feels like an odd era of music to choose from for specifically the Minecraft movie. Because, again, a lot of people's initial arguments was, well, it's going to be a kid's movie, and I'm like, well, I don't think it is. I would argue they're aiming much more towards, like, maybe, like, 16 to 18, probably, if I had to guess. But even that's an odd choice to have Magical Mystery Tour. It was probably just a situation where they were like, we just really like it, and we were listening to it while we were making the trailer, so it just kind of stuck, because that's very much a thing for, like, probably the most prominent example that I can think of that they actually decided to just pay the rights to keep the song because they were so, like, this is what we were listening to while we were making it, and we can't see it without it, is in the reboot of DuckTales, there's a point where, I don't remember his name, but Scrooge's rival, was going to, Scrooge's funeral, because I think they had faked his death or something, and he showed up and started, like, dancing as he walked down the center aisle, and they said we had a very specific song playing while we made it, and we literally were so taken with it being this song that even though it's kind of an odd choice, we paid to keep this song specifically, and it's All I Do Is Win. I think that's the name of the song anyway, but, to the point that they had a pause where they went, throw my hands up, and they stay there. They actually specifically had him pause while they did the pause in the song. But apparently they were so, like, we can't put anything else here that they paid to use the song. And I think that's really fucking funny. Anyway, it's fine. It is fine and dandy. Alright, lovely. Good, good. But yeah, there's a reason why whenever I post a thing of me on Tumblr where I'm just, like, either ranting or I'm, like, anything where it's just me talking for extended periods, my tag for that is Logan Laments. There is a reason it is Logan Laments, because half the time I'm just like, fucking goddamn it! But I also want people to be able to, like, tune me out if they so choose, you know? Alright, lovely. Because for those who are not Tumblr people, Tumblr has a very robust and actually functional tagging system, TikTok, where as long as you could either use, Tumblr has one, there's also XKits, and there's actually a third through the browsers, various blacklists that you could use, and they are very, very good because a lot of people understand that, as somebody phrased it, they put up a picture of Squidward and they edited it to say, we curate our own experience here, sir. But I want people to be able to tune me out if they don't want to see me just ranting about random ass shit, you know? Oh god, this is gonna take so long. But it's okay, it'll be fine. And I will be happier for it once it's done. Like, I'm gonna be so glad to not have to deal with is this tree gonna grow because it's on the edge of one of the steps? Because that was very much a problem with the last one. And before I did this level of terraforming, I had gone through and done a previous one where it was ever so slightly less flat. And that one drove me fucking bonkers. Like, that one straight up drove me up a wall. So I would much rather have this level than that level, but if I have the choice, I'd rather not deal with it at all. You feel me? But whatever, it's fine. It is fine and dandy. And we will manage just fine. Okay, cool. And again, this is why I choose barren planets, is so I don't have to worry about monsters and stuff while I'm doing things like this. But barren planets are fully barren, so I expect it. It's when I'm on, like, worlds that I don't know are going to have a barren biome, that's when it drives me crazy. And I've discussed that before many times. Like, that's not a secret. That's a very commonly known reason why I go crazy on stuff like this. Alright, lovely. And I could try to just use explosives, but, like, I've never tried to do it before, so I don't really know how effective it would actually be. Or how infuriating it would be as well. So, like, I don't care. I'd rather just go with this, and we should be relatively close to the next phase area, or the where we're aiming towards. We'll be able to notice it once it starts sloping back down, because I believe I sloped it back down so that it would be flush with the other side. If I recall correctly. It's been a little bit since I did the initial, or the secondary phase of terraforming. Because obviously Lamplight is an ever-ongoing project. I believe that much is very obvious at this point. But we've been steadily making progress towards what I would consider, like, a finalized look for Lamplight, you feel me? But hey, it is what it is. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. Very, very good. Alright, cool. Alright, yes, we're starting to get towards the end because I can see it sloping down. I got hair in my face. Also, I was very excited to see that, so the, Fallout Good Springs event just happened, which is, I believe it's a yearly event, but it's people going to the real-life Good Springs and, like, having functionally, like, a miniaturized version of a convention over the course of a weekend. And the person who won the costume contest this year was dressed as, I believe, specifically Dr. Burroughs, but from the Old World Blues DLC, which I was very happy because I know that there are a lot of people who are like, it's just too goofy, and I'm like, nope, it's the perfect level of goofy, it's my favorite DLC. Like, it managed to dethrone Honest Hearts, which, up until I played Old World Blues, that was my favorite, even though, like, I know it's not that it's not the most popular, it's just that, like, I can understand why people aren't as, like, keen on it compared to some of the other ones that have a much heavier, like, extremely, because they're all story-driven, obviously, but, like, even though, I guess I'm gonna admit this, even though, Dead Money is my least favorite, I understand why people love it so much. Like, I do believe that narratively it is the best story. It's such a slog to play for me in terms of, like, I just feel miserable. And that's the point. That I'm like, I'm just not having much fun here, you know? Whereas I loved Old World Blues so much that I went out of my way to find every single location. Now, mind you, there's not many. But, like, I was bound and determined to experience as much as... And I didn't even experience everything. partially because I'm shit at stealth sections. Um, but I just fucking loved Old World Blues to death. Um, and Honest Hearts and Lonesome Road are tied for me, which is kind of ironic, but you know, those who know why know why. But uh, I don't know. It just I was very happy to see that the person who won the costume contest was dressed as a character from Old World Blues. Because I will say I do understand why people are like, it's too goofy for me. I totally get it. But at the same time, as somebody who genuinely, I believe part of why Fallout works is because, oh, fuck off. Fucking, you can't see it. There's another one of those, like, buy viewer. I don't need to buy my viewers. I don't care. Uh, but, but for me, one of the big selling points for Fallout was how goofy it is. And this is also something that I think is really silly. When people are like, it wasn't goofy until Bethesda brought it. And I will bring up every single time me playing through the original Fallout and just randomly stumbling across a fucking UFO. And, like, it was just, there was nothing really to do with it. It was just a crashed UFO. Like, Fallout is goofy. The idea of Fallout is goofy. And that's the thing that I think a lot of, like, the Dude Bro projects centered around, and I'll explain what I mean. But, like, you could tell when people who are actually understand the themes of Fallout make something, because, again, they are not afraid to be a little silly with it. But then you get these Dude Bros who, like, these are the guys who don't understand the whole anti-nationalism message that's peppered throughout, because these will be, like, yeah, America first kind of people who are then turning around and saying Fallout's their favorite game, and I'm like, did you understand your favorite game? Or, like, people who are, like, super, like, into capitalism or whatever, and are like, Fallout's my favorite game, and I'm like, they're making fun of you! And every single one of them is that way, right? It's kind of like how people don't understand that the song Born in the USA is a critique of, nationalism in America. Specifically over, I believe, the Vietnam War? I believe? If I recall correctly, it's been a bit since there's a reason why when I put together a playlist for Helldivers, specifically Helldivers 2, I was putting songs on there that are very commonly mistaken as being either pro-America or at least, like, people who are Hoorah America misconstrue them. So, another song that's on there is American Idiot. I also have Holiday on there as well. There's a decent bit of Green Day on there. It just makes me think of the whole thing from Hey where he says, y'all don't want to hear me, y'all just want to dance. But whenever, like, the people who, in my opinion, are misunderstanding the quote-unquote point of Fallout make projects, all of it turns into just everything's doom and gloom. There's no levity. There's no, you know, whatever. It's just pure the whole war never changes. And, like, yes, those messages are very, very distinct in Fallout. However, the other messages that are distinct in Fallout are that community and cooperation will continue to persist regardless of how dark the night gets. You feel me? And that community and cooperation are the answer, not the, you know, things that immediately get thrown by the wayside. One of the projects that I immediately think of whenever stuff like that comes up, and I'm like, you, in my opinion, misunderstand the entire point of Fallout, is Fallout Equestria. Um, for those who have even attempted to read it like I did, because I was not able to fully slog through it, I just couldn't do it. The whole thing, in my opinion, completely misses the mark on the tone of both. Obviously, they are intentionally missing the tone for My Little Pony, but they are also missing the tone for Fallout, and it's annoying. Um, because that was actually something I was dreading when my friend was recommending me to play. It was specifically Fallout 4 was my introduction for the first time. Is that was my knowledge base, was things like Fallout Equestria and all these kind of like dude bro projects. And so I was like, I don't know, man. But then I finally played it, and I'm like, oh, so they were just fucking lying to me about what this franchise is about. Okay, sure. I mean, literally, like, especially when people don't pick the one narrative tone that I'm always baffled when people don't pick up on it is the anti-capitalist tone, because literally the way that the money system works is intentionally making fun of overconsumption and capitalism, because the whole we are still 200 plus years later finding fresh bottles of Nuka-Cola because they made too many. Like, I don't know how you could look at that and not see that as an intentional piss take at capitalism and overconsumption. You know? But anyway, it's whatever. Because I'm also one of those people who I do believe that you should be able to read things in projects that aren't necessarily intended by the creators. Like, for example, in my opinion, and I'm going to use the original book as an example because I know that there's different interpretations of it in media, so I don't want to, like, pick one that actually intentionally is trying to make a point like this. But, the clearly unintentional, gay undertones of Interview with a Vampire. That one was so bad because Anne Rice was militant about anyone interpreting and playing in her sandbox in a way that she didn't directly approve of, that after she passed... So, okay, I'm gonna give some old fandom lore for people who are younger. But one of the things you used to see... Matter of fact, if you find some of my really old, like, both fan fiction and fan art, from, like, the early 2000s, and I don't think I posted anything during the late 90s, but I was producing stuff during the late 90s. But if you look at anything from that era, you will occasionally, and you may still see people doing this, especially it depends on what they're making fan content of, but if you see anything that says, characters belong to blah blah, they are not mine, and they'll just say, like, a very generic copyright disclaimer, I can almost guarantee whether or not they intentionally started it as this, it was something that was heavily influenced by Anne Rice. Because, fun fact about Anne Rice, she used to sue the shit out of people, for playing in her sandbox. And it got to the point that a lot of the legality of fan works was made because of her. So, like, the clarification on certain fan works being alright as long as you're not making profit off of them, certain things being fine as long as they're not published in a certain way. So here's a fun fact. Do not... Let me grab you guys' shoulder and pull you close when I say this. Do not bind and sell or even just bind fan fiction. Do not print it unless it's in a fucking notebook that will never see the light of day in, like, a little 3-ring binder. Binding and printing fan fiction is super fucking illegal. On multiple fronts. Like, you shouldn't do it because it's a terrible thing to do to the person who wrote it anyway. But also, the whole world of fan works exists in a extremely fine balance, okay? And one of the big things is it cannot be printed, or at least printed and bound and sold en masse. And the reason you saw there was a point where a lot of I'm just gonna, even though I don't go to this fandom anymore or like engage in it in any way, I'm just gonna use it as an example because I know it's one of the ones that had this as a really big problem. The Harry Potter fandom was having a massive problem where people were binding and selling fan works to the point that a lot of these Harry Potter fanfic authors wound up taking their shit down because of it. Because they can get in trouble for people binding and selling their fan fiction because they then have to turn around and prove that they did not have anything to do with it. And fan works in general can then be subject to litigation if they are being bound and printed. So do not bind and sell, especially don't sell, but do not bind fanfic. If you want to continue to have your fanfic, don't fucking do it because the authors are going to start taking shit down. All right? Okay. Um, but yeah, a huge amount of this belongs to this person. I do not claim to have created it is because of Anne Rice. I wish I was kidding. She is so militant about shit like that. And she's a huge reason why we even have to do it in the first place. Okay, cool. Good. Alright, I need to... Wait, no. Hang on. Let me check something real fast. I'll actually... Because I feel like I already pared this down to the point where it's just one each. Okay, give me a second anyway. But hey. Oh, also I was going to say, after Anne Rice passed, if you've ever wondered why there is stuff on AO3, it's usually Interview with the Vampire stuff. But why there is stuff on AO3 that is marked with a date prior to when the site was even published, that is because these Interview with the Vampire fans were going back and and other things that she's written. By the way, another person who was really bad about this was Anne McCaffrey, who did Dragon Riders of Pern. She was extremely bad about this and very militant about things like this. And to put it into perspective, even not just fan works with Anne Rice, she also was so offended at someone either changing a location that was randomly featured in one of her books or doing something with their own property that she went and wrote them a letter in character saying, "I'm mad that you're changing your store," as, I think, as Lestat specifically. Okay, so I did do the thing I thought I did. Okay, cool. But she literally wrote an in-character diatribe about how she was upset that they were changing something that wasn't even hers. And it was really fucking weird. But yeah, she is notorious for, like... And I know that some people are like, well, it's her baby, and I'm like, yes, but at the same time, if you're going to put something out into the world, especially if it starts to become popular, you have to understand and be willing to understand that people are going to then take what you have worked on and interpret it in their own way. Like, there's a reason that I specifically use Mordecai here as my character that I have as my persona. I shit you not, it's as not a deterrent, that's not the word I'm looking for, because I know that if I used my actual persona, I would be extremely uncomfortable if people started making, like, certain types of content involving my actual persona, because I see Mordecai as his own character. Bowie is me. And so I knew that I would be very uncomfortable with certain kinds of content. So I intentionally, I shit you not, Mordecai is quite literally a sacrificial lamb. It's basically like, if you're gonna be weird about this one, not about this one. I'm not kidding, I wish I was. Apparently I am out of dirt, so I need to... I don't know if we're close enough that I can just run to the other side. I think we are. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Lovely. But, so what people did after Anne Rice died was they went back and they either posted or changed the dates on their fan fiction that they had written for Interview with a Vampire to reflect the actual year it was written, because it was a year that the legality of fan fiction hadn't been worked out yet, so she was going through and like suing the shit out of everybody. And that is why, even though a lot of these people were fans of her work, why a lot of people, I kid you not, I remember when it happened, when it celebrated Anne Rice's passing, was because she was so horrendously militant about anyone trying to interact with her work in a way that she didn't sign off on, that she was taking so many people to court. And I'm not talking taking them to court over things like a normal, like a normal fan, or like a normal situation you would want to take people to court over. Like, for example, someone taking your content and then using it to promote their, like, ideology and worldview. No, this is just her taking people to court over making Lestat and Louis kiss, you know? It's crazy. I there's no other way to describe her level of interaction than insane. Because again, I totally get being protective over your stuff. That is normal. What she was doing is not normal. Or at least, especially, like, in today's day and age, it would be seen as absolute insanity. Because she would basically be seen as being this, like, absurdly hyper-protective person. Also, I did confirm that this is one step down for some reason, so I need to fix it. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. But yeah, a lot of weird fandom dynamics that we have now are because of Anne Rice. And so people were going back and backdating their actual work, so you'll see stuff in there that's like, this is from the, like, 70s, or not, maybe not 70s, 80s, but, like, publication dates that are, like, ancient. Because the only other thing you would really find something like that on is, like, Star Trek fanfic. Because Star Trek is also, like, of that age that people will date stuff to that, because that's when it was originally written. But yeah, so there's your... For some reason, we always get into discussions over... I don't want to say fandom drama, but, like, fandom... dynamics in general when we're terraforming here, and I'm not inherently sure why I started doing that, but I don't know, it's something that I find very interesting to talk about, so maybe that's why I do that, but who knows. But yeah, don't bind fanfiction, especially if it's not yours. Or if you do, keep it to yourself and do not sell it. And if you're going to do it anyway, don't fucking talk about it. Like, especially in a public way. And also, if you see someone doing it, explain to them why they shouldn't. Like, don't be a fucking dick, but be like, hey, you could get your favorite, like, writers into really big trouble by doing that, you know? And, like, some of them know and don't care. Like, there's a specific one that I actually had to block because she was very heavily informed that what she was doing was, A, illegal as fuck, and B, could potentially throw the legality of everything into question. But she just didn't care. Because she was making money. Off of other people's work, not her own, other people's. Both the original author and the fanfic author. But I think she actually got banned off of TikTok, if I remember right. But, just, you know, again, don't be a dick, but just say, hey, look, I don't know if you knew this, but you could get yourself and the people whose fan work you're using into a huge amount of trouble for doing this, so please don't. Um, but, with, that's the other reason why, if you've ever, so for those who don't know, every year AO3 hosts a fundraising drive, and they're almost always within the first hour meet their goal, and they usually surpass their goal like crazy. If you're ever wondering where that money goes, other than the cost of actually physically running the site, one of the other things that it goes to, all that excess, goes to a legal fund. If you get sued, and there is something that's going on right now that I'm not entirely sure how it's going to shake out, but it's specifically a thing with the government. But if you were to get sued by, like, a normal, like, just author who is suing you for whatever, part of that fundraising money is to help get you a lawyer and help them fight on your behalf. So, like, whenever people are like, they just take the money and do nothing with it, they're not doing nothing with it. That is a legal fund. Like, the whole reason Archive of Our Own was created was because at the time, one of the big sites that we used to use, other than fanfiction.net, was LiveJournal. And LiveJournal went through a massive exodus of them getting scared by litigation by, I can't remember who it was, but I'm just gonna jokingly say it was Anne Rice, because I can't remember who started the big issue, but because we were just talking about her. So, like, an Anne Rice type who's, like, super, like, they can't do what I don't want them to do kind of levels, and LiveJournal got freaked out, and so they wound up purging a huge amount of fandom-related threads. I can't remember if that's what they were specific. Groups, threads, there were a couple of different ways you could phrase it. And that is why Archive of Our Own was invented, was because they understood the legal language and were like, there is nothing wrong with what people were doing, people just got freaked out, and so we're going to make an archive of our own, so that we don't lose all this content that we so dearly love. Unless, you know, people intentionally go out of their way to delete their own work, which is whatever. But yeah, so, and I'm not getting into the full, like, minutia of it all, but that is the overarching reason why Archive of Our Own was created, was because of the great LiveJournal purge. But that's also why, so technically, you are not allowed to post original works, even though there is a tab for it. The legality behind posting original works on AO3 is a little tetchy. Like, it's kind of the same thing as, like, it's technically illegal, or was, actually, they changed that recently. It was technically illegal in New York to jaywalk for, like, a long time, but nobody would ever enforce that law, because how the fuck could you? Kind of think of it like that, but also don't be shocked if you do get an original work taken down if somebody chooses to report it. But yeah, there's some weird minutia about that. But yeah, looking into fandom history is actually very, very fascinating. Like, for example, one of the big things that a lot of people don't know, and I think it still exists, but that don't know because nobody ever really adhered to it, was technically you could not post, so I'm going to use AO3's rating system as an example because it's the one that most people who read fanfiction understand, but you could not post the equivalent of an E rating on fanfiction.net. You could only post up to the equivalent of an M rating. However, no one ever knew it was because there was a separate site for anything that would be rated, and now I'm going to switch to old fandom terms, anything that would be above a lime specifically. So your lemons and your grapefruits. I'll explain that in a second for people who don't know old fandom terms. But there was a separate fanfiction.net for content that was more mature than your, like, generic, like, either it's, like, a couple of sentences or it's a fade to black kind of maturity. Um, I think it was literally FFNE or something like that, or, like, fanfiction.net E. But it had its own completely separate site that was horrible to navigate. If anyone ever went on that, they understand. That is where all the coding went to die. Like, I don't even know how I navigated that, but people didn't care, so they would just post on FFN and then get confused if they got in trouble. And I'm like, no, it's technically not allowed. It's just, people would have to, like, report your story, and people usually didn't do that, but the times where people did, they would absolutely take it down and be like, we technically have a different site for this. And I'm like, okay. But to explain to people what I was referencing earlier with the lemons, limes, and stuff like that. So for those who are not old fandom guard, this feels so weird to say, the old term that you used to use, and I think this was also specifically so they didn't get in trouble because it was kind of like coded language, was they had what they called the citrus scale, and it went from, usually you would just start rating at like a lime, which is like making out, oh, I think there was an orange, too. I think orange was just, like, kissing. Then, like, lime would be making out and sometimes, like, a cheeky, like, cut to black kind of thing. Lemons would be what you would generally think of most NSFW fics are today. And then grapefruit was the equivalent of dead dove, do not eat. Or not, okay, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase, because I'm also going to explain dead dove do not eat, because a lot of people do not understand what dead dove do not eat actually means. But, like, grapefruit would basically be the equivalent of, like, NC-17 to X rating, lemon would be R to NC-17 rating, lime would be PG-13, and orange would be anything below that. So let me actually explain dead dove do not eat to those who do not understand how to use that fucking tag, because it drives me crazy. Dead dove do not eat is based on a skit from, I think, I'm not going to pretend to know what it was, but it was some kind of sitcom slash comedy workplace thing. It might have been Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I don't think it was. But regardless, the original way you would use dead dove do not eat as a tag is, what it means is read the tags, I'm not kidding. That's what it means. So let's say, I'm just going to use a safe for work example, because fun fact, dead dove do not eat can be safe for work. So say somebody has a fic that is tagged with spiders, arachnophobia, insects. If you go in and are startled by finding that there are spiders in it, and it is tagged dead dove do not eat, it's just saying, look, I told you on the tin there were spiders in this. I am warning you that I am not, because sometimes people will tag things that are just in it for like a split second, just because they want to tag like every little minutia of the thing. But sometimes people are like, look, I'm not tagging this because it's just in there for a second. I am not kidding when I tag things. Read the fucking tags. So that's what I mean about, it kind of drives me crazy when people are like, oh, well, like, I judge you if you read dead dove stuff. And I'm like, dead dove stuff can be NSFW, yes, and that's usually part of what it's used for. But it can also be safe for work and is just warning you to read the fucking tags. It is basically a you have been warned sort of thing. So, like, let's say, another example of something that can be a dead dove do not eat that's not NSFW is if it's tagged with major character death. And they'll say dead dove do not eat, and they're like, look, I warned you
that there is going to be sad shit in here. This is not a happy story. And yes, most people who use it are using it for their NSFW fix that typically it's because they contain something that's a little off kilter, and they want to be like, look, I'm not kidding about this being in here, you know, read the fucking tags, I warned you, don't yell at me. But yeah, it started to become a thing where I feel like a lot of people just don't understand what it means, and so they just automatically think it means there's weird NSFW shit in here. But no, that is not at all what its original intention was for. It's just a funny way to say, I warned you. But where the original term comes from is in whatever show that I can't remember what it is, someone pulls out a bag from the freezer in the break room that says, and it's written on it, dead dove, do not eat. And he opens it and looks inside and then looks up and he says, I don't really know what I expected. Because the whole joke is clearly there was a dead dove in there. And he just opened it as like, oh, whoops, I guess I should have presumed what was written on there was real. Alrighty, but yeah. Let's see. Because a similar tag that used to exist that wasn't necessarily serving the purpose of basically putting a big warning sign that said you need to be careful and read the tags was there is a semi-older fandom term that's actually coming back into vogue, but it's don't like, don't read. And what it basically means is typically that's another one where it's like you were told what was in it, don't engage. But usually don't like, don't read is more along the lines of if you don't like this certain relationship, then don't intentionally read content about it and then yell at the person who made it. A similar term that is being used by the youths TM is if you don't like it, then scroll. Especially on sites that have algorithms, because if you engage with stuff on sites that have algorithm, or that have an algorithm, they are going to put more of that on your feed. So is it really worth yelling at somebody if it's just gonna make it happen more? And as somebody who, I still do it on occasion, but used to very regularly make, videos in, fursuit for TikTok, there were plenty of people who were like, why is this on my feed? I'm like, because you're commenting on it, you fucking idiot. But again, I'm also one of those people who I regularly tell people, I'm like, look, I understand that, like, certain things aren't for everyone. I totally get it. But you have a block button. You can use it. Like, I will literally, I shit you not, I will use my block button if someone even just mildly annoys me. Because here's the thing, not only do you have a block button, you can also unblock people at any time you so choose. And that's usually my, like, way that I explain it to people, because a lot of people are like, why did you block me? And I'm like, I don't know, you probably just, like, said that you liked, fucking, I don't know, Cool Ranch Doritos above above, nacho cheese Doritos. Like, I block on, like, yes, obviously sometimes I will block for very good reasons. Like, I will usually, if I see somebody being horribly, like, bigoted in a post, I will go in and block them because I'm like, I don't want to even give them the chance to, like, interact with me in the wild or whatever, TM. But I will also just block people because they're irritating me. Because, like, I am more than willing to have discussions with people, but I'm not gonna go out of their way, or out of my way, to make... Yeah, exactly. Like, I believe the term that the kids are using nowadays is free block list, whenever there's, like, a comment section that's just full of horrible people. But yeah, like, half the time I'm blocking because, like, I don't agree with whatever the person's saying, sure. But the other half of the time, it's just because they tell me they like tomatoes, you know? Because again, I can always unblock people. And sometimes I'm just not having a good day, and that helps me feel better, because it gives me some feeling of control. Um, Especially on TikTok, where, unfortunately, their not interested function does not work very well. So, for example, one of the things that I had to do, they also technically have a tag blocking system, but it doesn't work very well compared to like Tumblr. But one of the things that I had, you probably heard me do it, is speaking in coded language so that my phone doesn't hear me ranting about stuff and decide to put it on my feed. Because I've already told it that it can't look at what I'm posting on other apps because that is actually a button that you can turn off. But it can still hear you talking, even when it's off. But you've definitely heard me call anything by Vivzy Pop Heck Hotel or Helava for short, because my phone listens and then puts it on my feed even though I blocked those tags. So if somebody posts enough about something and they just keep being on my feed, I just block them. Because that is the most efficient way to curate my TikTok, is by blocking people. Is it fucked up that I have to do it? Yeah, but like the site is not super functional with its not interested button, so I kind of have to do that. Whereas I have a 3-step blocking system on Tumblr, or not blocking, but like tag blocking. So, for those who are wondering what I use, I obviously use Tumblr's system itself to block things that I specifically don't want to show up on the phone version of the app. And also, by the way, for those who are new to Tumblr, I recommend blocking both a version with a hashtag in front of it and just the normal version. Because if you block the version with the hashtag, it'll block the tag. If you block just the word itself, so like, let's say the word is inventory. If you put hashtag inventory, that will block the tag. If you block inventory, it will also block it when it's in like the body of a text. So if somebody said, oh, hashtag inventory, but never said it in the post itself, that would get caught by hashtag inventory. But if somebody's like, my inventory was XYZ, blah, blah, but they don't block the tag, or they don't tag it as inventory, if you just have the word inventory, then it'll block that. So I use Tumblr's internal blacklist for, which I think it's in like settings or something. I use that for like things that I really don't want showing up, and I want to have like a level of control over. But then with things that I'm like, if they show up, it's whatever, but they still annoy me, I use the browser extension Tumblr Savior. There's a variant for both Chrome, Firefox, and I think that there's a variant for all the major browsers. But I also use new Xkits. That one's blacklist as well. Basically, blocking is good for my mental health. But if there is somebody who is being obstinate and then like is acting like they win if someone blocks them, one, that's not true. Two, I'm like, okay, so you really want to go now. Like, I'm fine with, because then that's where my stubbornness comes in, and I'm like, okay, so it's my job now to make you block me first. And again, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm also kind of not. But specifically, one of the things I was thinking of was, it was this person who was being really weird about me criticizing, Vivzy Pop's shows. And again, remember, I do everything in my power to make sure that people who enjoy it don't have to see me. So this person went out of their way to go into the critical tag to start fights. And so just keep that in mind, but as we were, like, looking through their page, we saw that they are really, like, I believe blocking should be illegal, and that, you know, it just is, like, causes people to, like, have whatever, and I'm like, one, I've never met someone who thinks blocking is a bad thing, who isn't also like intentionally antagonizing people and clearly getting blocked very often. I have literally never met anyone who is of the opinion that it is a bad thing who doesn't also go out of their way to antagonize people. Just point blank period, I haven't. I, to this day, haven't blocked them because I'm like, okay, we're gonna play it your way. I will refuse to block you because, you clearly act like you win every time someone blocks you, so I will not be the one to do it first, because clearly you think that it's some kind of, like, victory on your part, which is really silly. Because, again, it is very healthy to choose to disengage. Like, obviously, like, you shouldn't be conflict avoidant to the point of a fault, but there is nothing wrong with choosing to disengage versus, like, intentionally stressing yourself out. You feel me? But it's fucking fine. I don't care. Alright. Lovely. Beautiful. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da-da-da. Hopefully we're almost there. 'Cause it's a little bit annoying to do this. And I want to plant my trees. Alright, very good, very good. It's fine. It is fine and dandy. And again, the whole reason why we have those chests is so that we can, dump off the materials that we get whenever we do something like this. Specifically those big storage crates, is both to move my trees, but also because it can be really annoying to wait for the little trash can to do its thing. So it's much easier to just dump them all into a big thing and decide to sort them later. Okay, still have some. God damn it. It's fine. Very, very good. But yeah, another reason that I'll block people is just, like, if their videos are so prolific on my feed that it starts to become, like, a problem, I'll block them over that. Like, this isn't really blocking an individual person, but I always block those, people on TikTok who just repost videos, either of other... I'll expressly do it if they post other people's videos, because, you're just making money off of someone else's content, and that's not okay. But also if they're just posting clips of movies, because if you or like the accounts where it's like people posting compilations of like funny animals, because if I don't, they start to take over my feed, because I'll get distracted and accidentally watch the whole thing, and then it's like, oh, you clearly want to see this. I'm like, no, I don't, please take it away, because those don't really have a tag that's easy to block, so that I have that like doubled layer of whatever. Like, for example, one of the things that I successfully blocked just because it was annoying me, but because they use a very specific tag, it's much easier, is my For You page got taken over by two different fandoms that one of them I knew existed, I just had never interacted with, and the other one I didn't know existed. The first being Lord of the Flies, and the second being Word Girl from PBS. I didn't know she had a fandom, and it was extremely prolific, and it would very much take over my For You page, and I'm like, I don't care! Please, go away! So, that and Lord of the Flies, I blocked both of their tags, and it's been relatively successful at keeping them off my feed. But those movie channels and ones that repost other people's content, they don't use reliable tags. So I have no way of, like, figuring out how to get them off my fucking feed. You feel me? And so with that one, I just have to block and move on. And like I said, the ones who specifically post other people's content to make money off of it, those ones I very much am blocking because I do not think that that's an okay thing to do, so I'm blocking them genuinely. That's not being blocked out of any level of, like, superficial whatever. That is just me being like, I think you're a terrible person if you intentionally take other people's content so that you can make money off of it. That's fucked up. But anyway, okay, I think we're pretty much at the other side now. So let me go ahead and... I should probably wait until daytime so I can see. But let me go from the other side here. Just so I have time to, like, let it kind of become daytime. And I will eventually fix the torches. But I am going to put away the bulk of the items. Alright, lovely. Lovely, lovely. So all the stone I'll put away. I'll put away... I'm going to keep this wood here. I'll keep it right there. So that we have a good chunk of it. Okay, the stone, the wood... Most of these... I'll keep 2 of each. And then we'll put the rest away. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. That's fine. Okay, cool. Because like I said, I'm kind of waiting for it to become sunrise so I can see better as to what I'm doing. Before I, you know... get confused and all that good shit. And maybe I'll go through and, actually, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go through and, dig out so that I can... Do I remember how much is between each of these? 2. Okay, so it's 2 blocks between each of them. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like this. And then I will... Well, actually, I'm gonna wait until I get to the point where... Ah, son of a bitch. It's, like... completely, like... whatever. And then I'll go from there. I promise what I said makes sense to me, even if it doesn't make sense to you. I'm gonna go from wherever the last torch is here, and then we'll use that to start making everything nice and tidy. Okay? Okay. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. Alright. Very, very good. And that way I can just do it all in one go while I'm doing the filling for the torches. It's fine. My plan is solid. I have my plan. Okay, so wood. And then... 2... Alright, cool. And then it goes here. Because, let me refresh my memory, it's... wood. Ah, no. 2. Yes, okay. Alright, that is fine. Okay, cool, 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 cool. I want... No, where's control? There we go. Okay, so there is 2 between each. Let me do it like this. So I can then... go on the other side. Wood. Ah, shit, I fucked it up. Hang on. 1, 2. Alright, there we go. And then we put it here. And then we go, like... So... Well, I need to put it in the back wall as well. I technically don't, but I want to, so... Alright, lovely. It's fine, it's fine. Well, actually, no, it's annoying me. We'll figure this out later. I should do it now, though. I really should. Okay, hang on. Okay, that's fine. Hey now, put that down. So that means it's 10 between each. Okay. 2. 1. Okay, cool. Alright, lovely. 1, 2, 1. Okay. This is gonna be such a pain. I kind of don't want to do this right now. And by kind of, I mean I really don't want to do this. So, let me just fucking fix this. Alright, hang on, get on up there. Okay, cool. Go ahead and make that solid again. Okay, now then, I need to go fix everything over here. Okay, cool. Because I know there are places out here that need to be filled. And that's the most important thing right now. And that way I could... Well, I don't know. We'll fill it first, and then we'll go through and work on the torches, okay? Let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. Because... otherwise, it's just going to keep pissing me off. Because I don't want to wait to do the torches until after I've done the trees. Because then I'll have to mess with the trees. And those will be a huge pain to fix once they're... or if they're not, you know, already properly set. So, I'd much rather wait until that than, you know, deal with this way. Alright, lovely. Again, there's a reason this takes us a billion trillion years when we do it. Because it fucking sucks. Alright, lovely. And I think I won't try to, like, make it look all natural when I do the torches this time. I know that was something I was trying to do last time. But I think this time I'm just gonna let it be a band so that I can easily come back through and do like this. To make it solid. Because otherwise it's just gonna be such a pain in the ass. Like, it's already annoying enough to have to do this, let alone when I need to fill it in afterwards. So, yeah. It's fine, we're fine. I don't care. Okay, cool. Very good. So I do not foresee me finishing planting the trees today. Or even, I think, starting planting the trees. We'll see. It'll be fine. Alright? Okay. It will be what it will be. Because, yeah, those little bits right there are the specific reason that I really wanted to wait for it to be daytime. Because I know that there are torches over here, or, like, little tiny holes that I don't want to try and figure out where they once were. So I'd much rather do it like this. And again, I'll probably find some more here in a second as I go through and do the torches properly now. But it's fine. I don't care. I'm also going to grab a couple more of this. I'll grab 2 more of each. Or actually, I'm just going to grab the sand, and I'm going to put this away. Because that way we definitely have enough, because we have so much of the sand, specifically. Alright. Lovely. Lovely, beautiful. On our way. Let's go do the torches now. Okay, and we shall do them properly. Okay, yes, I see. Alrighty then. Very, very good. Okay. Ah, shush. Okay. And this way I don't have to really worry about it until we get all the way done. Alright, cool. So then, going to go ahead and dig there. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 1. Alright, very good. 1, 2, I think. I think I might be missing one, hang on. Because I also want to fill in the background, that's the other thing. Why do I have this on my hotbar? I should have sand on my hotbar. Okay, there we go. That way I don't have to have the inventory open. Okay, lovely. 1, 2, 1. Okay, cool. Good. And now I can fill in the back wall there. Because I definitely want to fill in the back wall at the very least. Okay, alright. 1, 2, 1. And again, they don't inherently have to be perfect, but it's easier when I know exactly how far apart I want them than it is when I don't. Alright, very good. Alright, good. Yep, that's fine. Also, Alien Romulus is going to be releasing to streaming soon, and I'm very excited. Because it was one of those movies, the instant I saw it in theaters, I would have, if I could have, I would have quite literally gone and watched it again. Because I enjoyed it that thoroughly. Also, guess what I found out? Chat, guess what I found out? The new, Predator movie, like, the Yautja, like, Alien vs. Predators. You know how we didn't really know everything about it? Our protagonist is a Yautja. Do you understand how long I've been asking for that? How long I've been asking for something that specifically, like, the closest we've gotten is AVP Requiem. And that's purely because Wolf was, you know, kind of going through and, like, cleaning up, but also, like, he wasn't necessarily a protagonist, he was just, again, kind of enemy of my enemy is my friend, just like AVP, but, like, those are slightly different, because they're not necessarily our lead. The fucking... I'm so excited, dude. I'm so fucking excited. Again, I have been asking for that for so long. Like, I don't know much beyond that, other than I know that it's set in the future, but it's the same people who directed Prey, and it's considered its spiritual successor. So I'm here. I am fully here for it, and it's actually getting a theater release, which Prey never got. At least I'm pretty sure it's getting a theater release. I'm fairly certain about that. All I know is I fully trust that team to handle the lore and stuff. Like, I fully trust them. Why did I grab so much sand when I know that I'm going to be getting a bunch of it from doing this? Okay, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I'll probably have to start throwing away some stuff in my inventory at some point, but that's okay. Matter of fact, let me start throwing away, like, at least 5 of these. Because we should have plenty with all that. Alright, lovely, lovely. It's fine. Alright, very, very good. But yeah, I'm really fucking excited because of that. Because, like, I don't mind obviously, that's the formula that the Predator movies already used was something that I was deeply in love with, but I will say, like, I feel like sometimes they are definitely the ones that take more risks, so I'm always really excited when they are taking a risk. Even if it doesn't work, because sometimes then they won't even be taking a risk and it fails anyway. 2018's Predator movie. Or if it was, I don't remember if it was 2018 or 19, but whatever it was, I hated it. It's very, very exciting to me to see them finally telling a story that I've wanted for ages. Or in terms of, like, the concept, anyway. But yeah, it's fine. Because I had watched the original 2 movies when I was going through. I had a big, like, initial horror movie binge that I had when I was very young. So I watched the original 2 movies then, and it kind of didn't hook me. I was very much enamored with Alien. But Predator didn't hook me quite as well. But then I got back into it after I really got into AVP. Which is why, even though that movie is definitely got its flaws, you will hear me defend the original AVP within an inch of my life because of it. Like, people are allowed to not like it. That is perfectly fine. But, like, if you ask me, I will basically be like, I feel like it opened the gateway for a lot of different storytelling, and so I think it's really, really, really important. And then they had AVP Requiem that I am not so fond of. Not even because I think it's a bad movie, just because the main character is so boring, I keep losing him in a crowd. Because I will say, the other thing about AVP Requiem that was really kind of disheartening was, so the original AVP movie got really messed with by the ratings board. And so despite it being, I believe, rated R, it's either rated R or PG-13, I can't remember one of the ones, but despite its rating, everything is extremely, extremely tame because they were really, like, hammered by the ratings board at that time. And AVP Requiem actually was able to get away with quite a bit more. However, you can't see it because it's so dark in the movie! Matter of fact, one of the... Hang on. Let me make sure this is indeed 2. Hang on, I've lost count again. But, one of the guys who was reviewing it had to brighten the footage so you could see what was happening. So, like, if you're on, like, a home screen, like if you're at home watching it and you don't have every ounce of light dealt with, you just can't see. And it's really upsetting because it actually has a lot of really, really good practical effect work and gore, which the previous one did not. So, like, it's really saddening when you're like, I would love to be able to see the movie I'm watching. But anyway, but yeah, and it was kind of crazy for me when I walked out of the 2018 movie, because like I said, I'm willing to forgive a lot from the Predator movies because they have historically been willing to be a little more goofy. So I'm willing to like tolerate a lot of bullshit, but what I can't tolerate is ableism. Uh, and the story itself was so obnoxious that I just couldn't handle it. And again, it's one of those things where, like, if you like the movie, more power to you. I just can't stand it myself. Alright, lovely. Oh, shit, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. There we are, much better. But yeah, the only thing that I'm a little sad about with the next movie in specifically by the directors of Prey is that we don't get to see, and maybe we will. Who am I to say what we will and won't? I believe her name is Naru, but we won't get to see. Oh, fuck, I've lost count again. The lead from Prey and how like what happened to her after the events of everything, because there was like an indication that there was going to be more to do with her, because if you watch the end credits you can see that 3 more ships arrived after she dealt with the feral predator. So I was hoping we were maybe going to see a potentially different story with her. However, I am willing to trade that for our first genuine protagonist, Yautja. I am so willing to make that trade. Alright, lovely. Lovely, beautiful. Very good. Specifically in, to our knowledge, the leading role. Because, again, you had Scar and arguably Wolf, but they were supporting characters more than anything. Like, yes, they were major characters, but they were not the lead. Alright, lovely. And to our understanding of how the interview went, they are going to be the lead, and I'm excited. Anyway, it's fine. Beep up. No, not that many, Jesus. Alrighty, very good. And one of the things that I did have a tiny bit of a chuckle with was they were like, doing an interview talking about, like, figuring out how to balance having a protagonist Yautja, and I'm like, I mean, it's not, I mean, they've done it before with Scar in terms of, like, the whole enemy of my enemy is my friend, like, logic, but I was like, I mean, I guess that's fair, but also, a lot of people... Also, by the way, I fully anticipate this movie is going to be one of those ones that's review bombed by Dude Bros, because there's even whisperings that it may feature that the Yautja that we're following might be a female Yautja, and I can't wait for the Dude Bros to get all pissy because they find out that not only canonically are female Yautja stronger than the males in canon, but also generally, and I don't know if they're actually going to do this, generally speaking, the females are noted by most people who are canon writers within the universe, they are taller than the males. It's debated by how much, but yeah. But also it's just gonna be, but I wanted to watch a guy, and I'm like, you have all the other movies, fuck off. But yeah, to my knowledge, the Yautja that we'll be following might also be female, which again, even more exciting because outside of the books, trying to remember if we've ever seen a female Yautja outside of the background. I can't remember, but I'm excited. I am very fucking excited. Alright, lovely. And I fully trust this team. Because I was a little leery when I first sat down to watch Prey because I had been so badly burned by the one that came out before it, which was The Predator, which was written by... So, for those who don't know, The Predator was... I can't remember if it was written by or directed by, but if you remember in the original Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, that guy that was just cracking all the crass jokes and was generally the obnoxious asshole of the group, he was the one who either wrote it or he directed it. I can't remember which. Which initially a lot of people were like, oh, he knows the series, so it'll be whatever. Meanwhile, I was sitting on the outskirts and I'm like, he was an actor. I don't know if that means he knows the series. And then when it turned out to be terrible, everyone was like, oh. Specifically the one I'm thinking of, and I can't blame him for this, but James from Dead Meat was talking about how he was very excited because I'm a little less cruel to the one before it, the Predators, the one with Adrian Brody. I'm a little less cruel to it than some others are. I think it's a very boring Predator movie, and a lot of its interesting ideas are hampered by it wanting to be like, oh, what a twist. Because I think it actually started very strong, but that ending, those who know, or those who have seen it understand what I'm talking about. But he was like, oh, it's gonna be so much better than the Adrian Brody movie, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, and I'm like, careful, bud. And then it came out, and the next review, he was like, so, that was a bad prediction. And I can't blame him, because, like, a lot of people were very excited because it was one of the original actors who was involved in it. But for me, I do trust writers above actors. And he may have had, like, some writing credit on it, I just can't remember what. But yeah, it was one of those things where, like, when it turned out to be terrible, like, was I completely disheartened? Yeah. But, like, again, it's one of those franchises that's, how do they phrase it? Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Because it's not like the Alien movies where, because the good is so good in Alien movies, when they're bad, they're really bad. Predator, not so much, because they're always inherently a little bit goofy. Alright, lovely. And that's the best thing for them to be, in my opinion. Like, whenever people are like, no, they're all hoorah dude, bro, I'm like, okay, sure. Alright, lovely. Because I genuinely believe the original Predator movie is one of the best action movies of all time. But, like, people saying that it's never been goofy, Like, if anything, it's so serious that it turns around to being goofy just because of how serious they play it, you know? And then the second one was, like, objectively goofy. Alright, lovely. There we go, very good. Alright, cool. There we go. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Alright, lovely. But yeah, I'm already foreseeing the next one's gonna get review bombed to hell and back. So, I'm prepared for that. That's fine. Because also, the other thing to remember is, just because something is... Because the one thing that I tend to pay attention to, I'm just going to use Rotten Tomatoes as an example, more than the critics score. I will always look at the audience score first, but that is also the one that is the most contentious when it comes to, it is the easiest to review bomb. But a perfect example, the Predator movie that I hated with every fiber of my being and walked out of is rated the exact same as the first Venom movie by critics. Um, and a lot of people have talked about it's one of those things where, like, they don't really understand always. Like, I will look at critics' scores, but I will not let that influence my decision on A, whether or not I go and see a movie, especially if it's one that I'm excited for, and B, I believe that they are always something that you should listen to less than the audience itself. Because generally speaking, the audience is either fans of a project or, like, if it pleases a crowd, it's better than it pleasing a critic, because a critic's always looking for some, like, you know, new, innovative, bullshit, whereas a crowd is just looking for a movie that's enjoyable to watch. Because, like, again, there are some very critically acclaimed movies that are absolutely phenomenal out there. But especially if it's a movie that's, like, an 80s IP, or it's, like, already kind of a cheesy thing, the critics are not going to be kind to it, and that's something that people need to understand. But I will say, the Predator movie and the Venom movie being rated the same is absolutely crazy to me. By the way, they both have, like, roughly a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics score. But the popcorn meter, which is the audience score, total different story. I think the original Venom movie is sitting somewhere at, like, an 80 or an 85, whereas the Predator movie was at, like, at least for a while, it was at, like, a 60 or something. Maybe lower. Alright, lovely. Or the other thing to do is find a reviewer that you know has very similar taste to you and understands things that you like, or also understand you don't have to listen to critics for everything. That's kind of the whole point of having opinions. And it's kind of the same as, like, the damage that CinemaSins did to people's perception on what makes a good movie, because the original formula of CinemaSins was satire. The whole joke was, you know, you can't list everything wrong with a movie in a second, because all you're going to be doing is listing surface level critiques. And so that was the whole point of why the original 1 minute formula was funny and actually, you know, whatever, was it was satire. And then they started making longer form content, and people thought that it was genuine criticism, and that if all of these surface level critiques that they're pointing out are, like, actual quote unquote sins rather than what they are, which is just surface level critiques. You feel me? Anyway, it's fine. I could go on about how much damage I feel like reviewers, like, specifically CinemaSins, but also, like, the Nostalgia Critic, do to people's perception of movies. Because, one, technically the original Nostalgia Critic was also somewhat satire, because the original formula was that it was more of a persona of his, and he would talk about, like, he would occasionally make things where he's like, here's my actual opinions of this movie, because what he would do is he would just take what the critics said and turn it into a character and a skit, right? But then it suddenly became the whole personality is just, you know, the character, rather than, you know, him saying, like, you're allowed to enjoy things, and people lost that it was a character, and so did he, apparently, if people behind the scenes have mentioned, allegedly. Because one of the specific moments where he actually broke that character was in his original review of Hook, because he said, am I allowed to do this kind of critique on a movie that I objectively love? And that was kind of the whole joke of the whole thing, was he was functionally just reading the critical reviews of Hook, and then also on the side being like, it's actually one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. Um, and he had a couple of moments where like that, where he's like, here's what the nostalgia critic rates it, and here's what Doug rates it. Like, he had a couple of videos like that. But a lot of people kind of lost the plot on, you know, oh, if XYZ says it's bad, then it has to objectively be bad. And so anyone who expresses any kind of positive opinion is wrong. It's the same thing as, like, the whole, like, the concept of review bombing in general. It's, you know, this movie pissed me off, so no one's allowed to like it, and I'm intentionally going to try and destroy this movie's reputation. Because everyone should be allowed to critique something. But I just feel like the modern culture has caused it so... Because here's the other thing. Let me also clarify what I mean by when I say they've done a lot of damage. I do not think, especially at their outset, that any of these channels that I mentioned were intentionally trying to cause, like, problems for these movies. I genuinely, deeply do not think any of them intended people to take their word as gospel and thus, you know, try and destroy people who disagree with the opinion espoused by XYZ. Same thing with, I think, that originally Rotten Tomatoes was actually a very good gauge, but now I think it's kind of whatever, and I will actually usually go off of, like, either IMDb or other things like that, or I'll just listen to the popcorn meter rather than the thing, because... I don't know. It's really hard for me to explain, like, a lot of how I think that people can take things that objectively were meant to be this is my opinion / a more or less satire, and then turn it into everyone needs to critique like this, and also, you know, if you disagree with this style of critiques, like, then you're wrong or something, you know? But I don't necessarily think it's inherently the fault of the content creators. I just think it's gone to the point where a lot of them have gone so far down the rabbit hole that it's no longer, like, what they started the channel being, because they never, take a moment to be like, remember, this is jokes. This is hee hee ha ha. But I don't know. So I have a lot of mods on, but this specific one is, like, the most popular playable Xenomorph mod. I don't remember if there's more than one, but it's the #1 Xenomorph mod on the Steam Workshop. But I have, even compared to, like, my Fallout files, the mods I have on these are quite a bit. I know I have them listed somewhere in my Discord. But it's... Okay. I don't even know how close we are to the end of the thing, but I know how close we are to the end of the stream. Alright. But yeah, we'll just keep going until the stream ends or we reach the end of the thing, and then we'll call it there, but it's fine. Okay, cool, very good. But also getting back to the whole, like, oh, the fans know best. Not... So yes, like, obviously, you should be catering to the fan base more than anything. However, that turns into people being like, well, if it's not exactly the way I want it, then you're not catering to fans, and because you're also making something new, I get to say that it's complete shit. Star Wars fandom. I'm not even gonna whisper that. They are fucking awful about refusing any new ideas, and if it's not their exact interpretation of what the character should be, through things that are either not even canon in the first place, because fun fact, babes, Legends was never fully canon. George Lucas talked about multiple times that he does not take the books as canon at all. And this was before he sold it, okay? So, you know, keep that in mind. But also, half of Legends contradicts itself because it was a bunch of different writers. But because of that, they are so obstinate. And I'm talking about fandom in general, but I'm just using Star Wars as an example because they're probably one of, actually the worst example of it, let's be honest. Being so utterly unwilling to tolerate even remotely different ideas that they decide to take it as a personal vendetta and try to destroy people's lives over it. And it's absurd, and it's why I'm embarrassed to say I'm a Star Wars fan. Especially as somebody who was introduced as an adult. Because originally, by the way, if you ever hear me talk about this, I will always say I'm a Star Trek person above a Star Wars person. So that's like a little bit of like explanation for that. But from somebody who from the out, and mind you, I did see like the prequels in theaters. I was of the target audience, and I did watch them as a kid. Like, I'm not saying like I never saw Star Wars until I was an adult. I just didn't get into it until I was an adult. From the outside looking in, objectively, the amount of like, what's the word the kids use? Glazing that the prequels get versus I'm gonna use the sequels. I'm gonna be fucking controversial, I guess. Is ridiculous because objectively the sequels, other than I consider the sequels and the prequels on either completely even playing ground, or if you want to look at it this way, I think that the sequels have two stronger movies than the prequels. I believe that episodes, the numbering system drives me crazy. That episodes 1 and 2 are objectively weaker than, I think it's 7 and 8. And that's something that I've gotten yelled at before, but no, if you look at it from purely like character driven, acting driven, and I'm not going to fully blame the actors because this was when George Lucas was on his power trip and refused to take any like criticism of whatever. Oh no, I totally get it. And it's one of those things where like you are allowed to not like the sequels. That's not what I'm saying at all. But acting like there isn't like this insane motivation to like just destroy anyone who prefers the sequels over anything else is, and trying to pretend like that's not a thing is crazy, because there is a reason that the nickname that fandom has is the Fandom Menace. Even in the original trilogies, they were like this. You could dig up reviews about Star Wars fans who were so offended that Ewoks existed and that Princess Leia got to be cool even though she's been badass the whole time. All because, you know, they're, I believe the specific review that I'm thinking of was they were basically like, oh, so it's a Disney movie now when the Ewoks showed up, and I'm like, but yeah, it's one of those things where like I feel like for a fandom that is quite literally one of the biggest / most catered to fandoms in the world, they still act like they're like oppressed. And the thing with the Star Wars things is, I always tell people, I'm like, you don't have to take something as canon if you don't want to, but you don't get to be mad when people enjoy something that you don't like. Like, genuinely deeply, like, one of the things that I thought was absolutely ridiculous was the people who were like, oh, Andor is one of the worst shows that Star Wars has ever put out, and I consider Andor one of, if not the best, movie that, or not movie, series. Because to me, here's the thing. One, I am a massive Rogue One fan. Rogue One's actually what got me deeply into Star Wars. And two, I just like to see when they do something new, or when they at least have a new lens on it. Because, like, it's gone on for so long. I don't want to keep hearing the same generic, like, Skywalker stories over and over again. And that's why I really didn't like the last of the sequels, was because I felt like it kind of made it more generic again. But it's crazy to me how militant that fandom is. But anyway, we're at the end of stream. Let me see if I can find someone to send y'all to, because I voiced my Star Wars opinions before. And I'll do it again, I'm sure. But I'm gonna send you over to Cinehash. She is playing Minecraft, and I will see you guys again tomorrow, where we will be finishing off redoing the tree farm. But until then, bye!